Authentic Talks is all about authentic conversations. This show is all about growth, love, respect, success, mind, body, and spirit. If you're looking to grow and become your authentic self, then this is the podcast for you. And I am your host, Shanta. Welcome to the show. Hi guys, welcome back to Authentic Talks. I'm really excited that we're ending the week with another amazing guest. As a 4-year-old, her life changed when her hands touched the black and white keys on a keyboard for the first time. Her love of music evolved into a career as a professional dancer, and she was the youngest member of the San Francisco Ballet. After 11 years in the San Francisco Ballet, she moved to New York City, where she performed on Broadway as the lead in the Tony-winning production of An American in Paris. Today, her career comes full circle as she now creates music as a singer and songwriter, but she'll never stop dancing. You guys, I'm really excited to introduce to you all today an artist who has an amazing voice, and she is so talented, and you're going to enjoy this amazing talk. Please welcome Empress to the show.
I may not seem pretty to you, but lovely I am. I may not seem warm or fuzzy on the outside, but inside I am. I try to obey your rules, don't think that I can. The lies you told came true. You created the monster that I am. Don't you see? You can't defeat me. Yet we keep playing a game where I'm so.
Hi, Empress.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing good. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Before we do anything, I have to ask, can you share with me Empress? It's spelled Empress.
Press. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and then we can talk about your name. I love it.
Sure. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so yes, I am Empress, and I'm a singer-songwriter. Prior to my music, I was a ballerina in San Francisco Ballet for over a decade, and I later went to Broadway and performed on Broadway for a couple years in this show called An American in Paris, where I got to do the lead role, and that was a dream come true. And then that kind of opened up a lot of doors for me, and I went from the silent world of ballet into a very loud world of Broadway, and now I always say I can't shut up, so here I am. Singer-songwriter as Empress.
Wow, I love it.
Thanks.
So you mentioned that you were a professional ballerina?
That's correct. Yeah.
What was that like, and for how many years?
I was a ballerina, let's see. Well, professionally, I was in San Francisco Ballet for 11 years. And then before that, I was in the school for 2 years. And then before that, I basically crawled out of my mom's womb dancing. So, the whole trajectory of getting there, it was a long journey. I think I started when I was 5 or 6 and worked my little, tushy off, but mostly it all came from music, which is the interesting part, because I started composing when I was about 4, right when my grandmother gave us her grandmother's piano. And so I started doodling. I was the oldest child, so of 3, and I started doodling on the piano, and I had a really good ear for music, so I could hear a song and I could figure out how to play it on the piano. And I started doing that when I was 4, and then just starting to make up my own music because I didn't know how to play anyone else's songs. So my mom, for her birthday, I learned how to play Happy Birthday without her knowing. Like, she would go, I think, play tennis, and I would learn how to, I'd figure it out. And while the babysitter was there, and one day I surprised her with it for her birthday, and my mom was just like, shocked by the whole thing. And who taught you how to do that? And I thought she was mad. I was like, nobody taught me how to do it. I'm so sorry. She was so funny because she goes, no, like, this is incredible. We're going to get you lessons. So,
wow.
really what it started my dancing was this love of music. I couldn't not move whenever I heard music, wherever that was. And like my parents would always play Madonna and the Judds. Like there were some really funny songs in there that I would just, if I heard that song, I would grab this microphone stand that my parents got me when I was really little, and I would give them a little show, in the living room and dance around and sing. But it's funny because it turned into this silent career, ironically, where I moved to music and I expressed myself as a dancer for over 20 years of my life. And then all of a sudden I broke the silence and started singing. That kind of, gosh, it was the coolest, most empowering feeling as an artist. I was already doing what I thought was the, biggest form of art, like dancing, expressing yourself with your body. It feels really powerful. But then adding words to it, and especially if they're your own words, it's just this incredible kind of synergy that happens. So music is what started it all, and dance kind of flowed into that, and now it's part of the tapestry of my life, so it's
Wow.
yeah
Good. That's good stuff.
yeah
So
thanks.
how do you still dance today, although you've moved into singing?
Yeah, so I think the blessing and the curse of being a dancer is once you're a dancer, you're kind of always a dancer by nature. It's like I found that when I stopped dancing all the time, my body started hurting more. It's kind of like I was so flexible as a dancer that if I don't stretch, my muscles actually hurt. And so
Wow.
that's the curse of being a ballerina, is that you can't just stop cold turkey. It's not like something that you can ever do, but it keeps you young and keeps you really connected to your body, which is kind of, I think it's very similar to yoga in a way. If you're not being super hard on your body, it's really good for the body to kind of connect in and, working yourself out and also doing it to music. So it's like a really fun thing. And I do it more as exercise than a profession. There's really nothing quite like being a professional dancer, because it's like the hours, there's no such thing as, working out for fun for like 12 hours a day. You just don't do that.
Wow.
So,
I have
so
to
yeah, I
ask.
will never do that again. But yeah.
I've always wanted to go like on Broadway, because on TV they make it look
Oh
so
yeah.
amazing, and it just looks
Yeah.
magical and just
It's so magical.
amazing.
Yeah, it's super fun. I mean, like just that whole industry is, I would say, like if you could describe it in one word, it's fun. I mean, it's like not always the storyline is like the fun. There's some very sad storylines, of course, but there's still magic and this like excitement, and yeah, it's incredible.
Did you have to remain on like a special diet throughout your career as a dancer?
Ooh, this is a great question. I started dancing and I was super, I was from a very athletic family, and my family's like all very health conscious as far as just being, they want to be the best athletes. We're all athletes. So they want to be the best athletes that you can possibly be. And when you kind of realize that when you eat healthy, you can perform better, then you just kind of naturally gravitate towards wanting to eat healthy. And so I kind of grew up with a really healthy mentality, thank God, because the ballet world is like borderline, like model status, where people are just trying to be as skinny as possible. And it's tough to compete with that in an environment where you're also like an athlete. Dancers actually they were finally acknowledged as the hardest profession physically in the country by the government this year, which is like kind of incredible. And so we're like number one. Let me just put this in perspective. Firemen are number 4. So dancers kind of we are really in extreme athletes who we have to, it's a visual art form though. So you have to look just as good as you dance, which is interesting. So yes, I will say I was on special diets because, you know, you have to look a certain way. And when I got hired, I was still a girl technically. And then I turned into a woman after I got hired because I was 16 when I was hired in San Francisco Ballet, which is, it's not unheard of, but I was very young for the times. And so they hired me a certain way, and then my body started changing, and you know, it's not really easy for a girl changing like that. So I started turning into a woman, and at the time I had a really good friend whose mom was going through cancer. And actually this is a side story, and I'll make it really short. She was given 3 months to live, and her son, who I danced with, Luke, he told her, you know, hey mom, there's one last thing that we can try, and that's raw food, and let's like just give it a go, and we'll try and heal your body with, you know, foods as close to its nature intended them to be as possible, and we'll see if it changes. And flash forward, it's been, I think, 8 or 9 years, and she's cancer free.
Wow.
And is completely healthy. You know, it's kind of a miracle because they really told her, you know, get your affairs in order. You have 3 months max. And that was 8 years ago, which is amazing. So flash back to when I was changing, when my body was changing. I was told that I didn't fit in with the other girls on stage. So I was taken out of all these ballets, which is kind of it's a catch-22 because when you're not dancing, you can't really stay in shape. You're like stuck in the back of the room and you can't really move, which ironically you need to do to stay in shape. So it's a really bad downward spiral. So if you're taken out of ballets, you're not really working out, you know, but you're still in the same, you know, you can't like go to the gym, you're working, you're learning ballets, but you're not really able to move. So you're not burning calories, and then you're kind of getting bigger, and then that is why they take you out of the ballet in the first place. So the whole thing is this downward spiral. And my friend Luke comes up to me one day right after I got a warning, and I got a warning for my job, and then I ended up getting a letter of non-reengagement, which was devastating because I got fired for the way I looked, and that was horrible. You know, it's really hard for like a young girl to go through something like that. And my friend comes up and he goes, Shannon, you know, can I offer a suggestion? I said, yes, anything, you know, I'll do anything. And he goes, I can't keep weight on and I'm eating constantly. I think you should try this diet, the raw food diet. And I was like, sold, you know, like, so I ended up going onto a raw food diet, and I lost all the weight. I got my job back. I felt amazing. I was eating constantly, and I learned all about nutrition and wellness, and my body lasted, you know, it's 11 years in the ballet, and I could have kept going. I just transitioned onto Broadway. So, you know, I think the test of time speaks louder than anything. A lot of dancers, if they don't take care of their body, they last about 3 to 4 years because the job's so demanding. And or they go for a really long time, and then when they retire, you know, they get cancers and they get all kinds of weird diseases because they just weren't taking care of their body. And I've seen that happen, you know, with lots of dancers, sadly. But I'm healthy and strong, and, you know, it's been 15 years since I started that, and I don't fluctuate in weight. It's pretty wonderful. And so, and I just feel amazing and don't have any more arthritis. My body recovers faster after workouts. You know, it's just like, yeah. So basically, yes, that was a long story, but I think necessary in the ballet world, especially because people don't really think that that's hand in hand. I think stereotypically dancers don't get the best reputation for being healthy. But yeah, so I chose health, and it ultimately gave me a longer career and a healthy body. So I'm happy.
I love it. Thanks for
Thank
sharing
you.
that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. I know a lot of people I think would hesitate on asking a ballerina about their diet, but
I mean, I picture in my head, like I see this, you know, the ballerinas flying around the stage, and they seem like they almost all look the same, almost
yes,
from that
yes.
distance. So
Yeah, it's so true. But like that, like 2 to 10 pounds makes a humongous difference in the eyes of the directors and the dancers and all that fun stuff. But I never really had to worry about it after I started my raw food diet, because you literally I'm not a doctor. I don't have thyroid issues or anything, but like my friend said, you literally can't keep weight on when you're eating food as close to as nature intended it to be as possible. It's like almost impossible to find a fat raw foodist.
So can I ask you
Yeah.
what does like dinner look like on just a random night for you?
Well, I get so creative. And mind you, now that I'm not like fully dancing, I don't need to be as strict. So I'll throw in a piece of meat or like tofu every once in a while. But like a a good night is like a big giant salad, or you do like pesto sauce with zucchini pasta, or cauliflower rice with a bunch of Mexican kind of seasonings. And you can like get really creative, and also lots of chocolates, and avocado puddings are like my favorite. And there's just so many fun ways to kind of be creative and not get boring and just have
Mm.
like a salad every time. It's yeah, you can get really creative. There's lots of desserts, let me just put it that way.
Wow, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. That was really interesting. I
Thank you
mean,
so much.
I was like, wow, like that was good. And
Oh,
so now you're currently on Broadway right now?
no, so I ended up doing An American in Paris, and then after that closed in 2000, what was it? I want to say 16, the end of 2016. My husband and I, he was so sweet. He was like so supportive and coming back and forth, flying back and forth from New York and San Francisco. I decided that I'm going to make it really easy on him and just be in San Francisco as much as I can and
Oh,
be with
nice.
him, and it was like, of all the 2.5 years of us kind of having to be bi-coastal, it was time for me to just be in one place. And then that kind of started this whole singer-songwriter thing. And that's kind of Empress evolved in the past 3 years. I think I've been using the stage name Empress for about a year. And it took me about 2 years, like to just gauge who I was as an artist. There's a lot of things you have to do to kind of figure yourself out before you want to put yourself out in the world. And I'm really grateful I had some time to kind of reinvent myself.
Wow, that's awesome. I want to talk about that
Yeah.
more. When you so
I love
you
it.
so now you're a singer. So you said that you write your own songs? When did you
Yeah.
what did you
Yeah.
do? Did you just sit down and you're just like, I'm gonna write a song?
Well, I guess, okay, so I didn't really sing. I told you I was like doodling on the piano, and I started composing really young, but I didn't do lyrics. Like that was definitely not a part of my vocabulary as an artist at all. But I always kind of would, I use my music as therapy, like I would just sit down and play the piano, and I just felt like it was recharging me, and it was also just like letting off steam in a way. And then let's see, when did I start singing? Okay, so I started singing at 19 because I got a role in a ballet. This is like the most random story, you're gonna love it. Is I ended up auditioning with every single dancer in the company, San Francisco Ballet, for this role. There was one role in West Side Story Suite, which is like a short condensed version of West Side Story, this role of Anita, where there's only one singer, and maybe I think there's like another little tiny part, but it's like there's one main singer. And I ended up getting that part. Like, it was so random because, I'd never opened my mouth before. No one knew who got what part. And then I see my name on the schedule for the lead role, and I was like, wait, what? I was young. It was very exciting. And I ended up singing for the first time in front of 3,500 people, which is the scariest thing I've ever done, inside the opera house that had never, the ballet had never broke the silence. And here I was, a ballerina, and all of a sudden, like, I could sing. What? This is
Wow.
crazy. So after that, I got, it was really scary to break the silence anyways, but it went over really well. I got a really big standing ovation and lots of great reviews. And so that kind of like gave me a little confidence, but not in public still. I was like, okay, well, I can sing other things. Same with, like Broadway, but I'm going to keep my music to myself. I was like a closeted singer-songwriter. And
Mhm.
I started writing music kind of just about the ups and downs of my life. And it was like, just more of therapy. And I never thought anyone else would ever relate to my music at all. And then I went to Broadway, and it was this loud, beautiful world where everybody was free to share their ideas and their, talent. And they all encouraged me to like kind of start writing music and singing. And so I went to this party once, and we opened American in Paris, and I had never been away from a piano for as long as we were out there for like a few months. And I didn't have a piano, and I felt like I was kind of dying on the inside. So normally this would not have happened, but I saw a piano at a party. And I asked the owner if I could play. And I said, no one needs to be here, like in this room. You don't have to tell anybody. I just really want to play the piano. I haven't played in like months. And I feel like, I'd love to play this. So he said, sure, of course. And of course, then he goes, ding, 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 everyone, there's a concert in my living room. And I was like, no,
Oh, wow.
but it was like, because, this for me, I had never sung my own material in front of people, let alone like professional singers, and like Broadway stars. So I was like, no, I don't want to do this. This is horrible. So I closed my eyes because I actually needed to play the piano more than I cared about what they thought about me. It was a personal thing. And so I closed my eyes and I sang my song. And when I opened my eyes, the group of people that was there who I admire so much, they're all so talented. Some of them were like, they had tears in their eyes. Other people's mouths were on the floor, their jaws were just like hanging. And they were just shocked. They're like, who wrote the song? I said, well, I did. Oh my gosh, well, who wrote the lyrics? And I did. They're like, we didn't even know you could sing, let alone, play and write. And so from then on, they really encouraged me to like take the next step. And that encouragement kind of led me to really pursue this as a career. And the fact that they all kind of deeply understood and emotionally understood what I was saying was shocking to me, because as just it's like writing in your diary. Music
Yeah.
is very personal, and when someone else relates to that, you're like shocked almost. You're like, what,
Mhm.
you feel this too, or you've felt that way, or you can relate. It's just like, it's really cool. So anyway, music has always been my backbone and like the skeleton of everything that I do. And so it just made sense for me to kind of pursue this career. And I know you asked me earlier on about like the stage name Empress and how I came up with that. And if you don't mind, I'm going to share that with you as
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
Because basically after finding that freedom as an artist, I felt like the most empowered I've ever felt as a woman and an artist. And I kind of was looking for a name because I really appreciate and enjoy kind of becoming a character when I'm on stage, and then kind of like being able to take that hat off and be normal at the end of the day. And that kind of helps with I think just your psyche as an artist, is the fact that you can like put on a show, and then you don't always have to put on a show at home, like you take that costume off and
Yeah.
then you're like normal again. It's just good for the brain to kind of like treat something like a profession, and so you don't get lost in the profession for your daily life, and your personal life. And
Mhm.
so I really wanted to kind of find this like alter ego, character thing. And
Ooh, I love it.
and Empress just made sense because, like, coming from the ballet, I love my sparkles and tiaras, and I always played like queens and princesses and things. And I was really drawn to obviously sparkles and tiaras and stuff. But as a woman, I felt the most empowered that I'd ever felt, because for the first time in my entire career, I was the artist. I was the creator of my own art, and I was able to like be the canvas as well and the paint. And so kind of like feeling that empowerment, I started writing songs about my, feeling empowered. And from there I thought, wow, if I could inspire everybody to be the ruler over their own life, how cool would this planet be? Like how incredible would it be for every female on this planet to just be empowered and not need their empowerment to come from the opposite sex, but it comes from within. And kind of going from there, then you kind of go, well, then the women can be better mothers to their sons who will raise, they're going to raise them up to love women and respect women. And that helps with our empowerment too. And the whole, it's this huge cycle thing. And I'm not excluding men at all. I just, I can't really speak for them as much as I can for women. So it's just, for me as a woman, I feel very empowered. And that's how I came up with the stage name Empress.
Well, I absolutely love it. It's unique. Empress, it just sounds really pretty queenish,
Totally.
in a good way,
Yeah,
not that it could be a bad way, but
no, it could though, because I think, the first reaction that I had to the name was actually very apologetic. It was like, hey, I'm Empress of my own life, not yours. It's like I felt like I had to explain that to people at first.
Oh.
And then I was like, wait, that's not empowered. Like that isn't, like, giving an excuse of why I feel empowered is not empowerment. That's not what it's all about. So I was like, well, I've got to own it and and like kind of grow into this tiara, if you will. It's like,
yes,
I've got to like fill these these things. So from there I was like, well, I think if I just put it into my music and everything in my art, if I'm always empowering people, if I'm always kind of putting that into the lyrics and making things positive, and then I think my music will speak louder than me trying to be like, oh, see, I'm not trying to rule over you, it's just me, it's me, like
mm-hmm.
that excuse didn't need to be there anymore. It's more of just like, hey, I am Empress, you are Empress, like we're all the ruler over our own life and the creator of our own happiness. So I think that's really the message that I like to share with my listeners.
That's good stuff. I like it.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, it's nice to also speak to a fellow empowered woman, that's doing their own thing like you. So it's thank you again for having me on your podcast. Like this is dreamy. I love chatting with women.
Thank you for coming.
I really do.
I appreciate it. I love having you
always.
here. You're awesome.
I know. No, you're awesome. Thank you. I mean, this is just fantastic. So
I have to ask, what type of singer are you? You know how they have like the low, high?
They have like sopranos and they've got like altos. So I can do both. So I can hit really high notes and I can also hit really low notes. But the type of music that I decided ultimately to sing was pop music, and it started like singer-songwriter, piano, like Sarah Bareilles style. And then I was like, wait, no, but I don't always want to be, kind of tethered to my piano. I want to be able to, embody like everything that I've done. I want to be able to dance. I want to do things like that have never been done in the pop music world, like, orchestrate a symphony and then dance to it and then also sing along as well. It's like I want to really be able to do everything. So I went to pop because it just felt like that was the right direction in order to be on the biggest, brightest stages, although that's all shifting now with the pandemic. But I think pop music kind of is what I've always been drawn to since like the Spice Girl days,
Mm-hmm. So if you were to sing a line right now, if I said Empress has entered the room, that would be hard to make that pop, wouldn't it?
Ooh, okay, so there's this line in this song that I released in November called We Own This Crown. And my favorite, it's like my favorite line, I think, from any song ever. It's when the queen walks in, the oceans part, now the games begin. And we all dive in, dripping with diamonds and a hint of sin. I like that, to me, like my favorite line. I'm like,
and
yes!
you actually and you sing it?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
Oh gosh,
is that like
yes.
much to ask?
Oh, you mean like you want me to sing? Oh,
Like if
okay.
you sing a line, like.
Sure. No, it's never too much to ask. It might sound like, poor quality, but like, yeah, we'll give it to you, hun. I love this. Right. Drum roll.
Please
Okay.
welcome Empress to the stage.
When the queen walks in, the oceans part, now the games begin, and we all dive in, dripping with diamonds and the hint of sin.
All right. Yay! You have a
That's like
beautiful voice.
the easy entries of the song. It gets really big at the end, but I think that would sound bad with the microphone that I have. I would like blow it.
Wow. It's soulful. Like you have
Yay.
harmony and
Oh, thank you. Thank you
And
so much. Yeah, and you have to listen to the song. It's beautiful.
what's the name of the song again?
It's called We Own This Crown. And actually it really embodies like everything that I've been talking about, because it's all about owning. It's like a self coronation for everybody. It's you don't have to wait for somebody else to crown yourself. It's like it's all up to you. So it's you own this crown, we own this crown. And it's kind of the evolution of how I came up with Empress in a nutshell, in one song.
Wow, I love it. And then where can we
Yeah.
download or buy the song? Is it
It's on Apple Music, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, every single music platform that's out there. Like you can literally find We Own This Crown on every music label or music website. Or let's see, also on Spotify, or not on Spotify, Instagram or Twitter, you can find my music everywhere.
Oh, wow. That's so awesome. Well, you sound amazing.
Oh, thanks, girl.
I love
Thank
it.
you
I
so
love
much.
it. Do you sing for your husband or your?
You know what? That is a great question, because this pandemic, we have been in the same, apartment for the past 2 months. And I have realized that no matter, how comfortable I've become singing, there's still a little ballerina inside of me that's like, been told to be quiet for so many years, that is still kind of like festering inside of me. So I've been trying to work that out and like try and get more confident just singing, just like in front of anybody, really. I mean, I'm fine when I'm on stage. When it's like go time, I am totally fine. I'm fine if I'm in a recording studio because it's go time. But when I'm just sitting at home, if I'm not by myself, I always kind of am like, am I going to bother him or her? Am I making too much noise? I don't want to bother. It's an interesting dilemma that I've been coming up with, because I've never really had this much time in one place with my husband.
Wow. Is he supportive of your
He's
career?
so supportive. So it has nothing to do with him. It's just the little ballerina inside of me that has been told to be quiet for all these years. And now I'm like making noise for a living. So just getting used to that, I guess.
Yeah, I understand. I can,
Yeah.
and I can totally relate to what you said about going on stage, and then when it's like showtime, you turn it on. You hear a lot of artists saying that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I've watched interviews with them, and you expect them to like
a Beyonce, where you're like, wait, she's so shy. What is happening? And then she gets on stage, and you're like, whoa, okay, she just entered like. That queen just walked in the room, the ocean just did part, and what just happened? Yeah, because she is. It's true. We have like this thing. You have to like, even Beyonce has like Sasha Fierce is her like alter ego, that she like goes on stage and she's like, I am not Beyonce in that moment. It's like I have to like, in a weird way, turn on the show version of myself. So yeah, it's interesting.
I have to tell you this side note. I went to a Beyonce concert last year in September, and I danced so much. I had on these heels.
So fun.
And on my way out after the concert, I was walking back to the parking lot, to go get my car. And there was all these people. No one pushed me. No one touched me. But my leg was like, I don't know where you're trying to go, but we're trying to go down. So I fell. And then my phone just slid. And people were like, oh my goodness, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I'm fine. And I was really embarrassed, and I got up really quickly, but my knee felt like it was like had a little issue, so I was like, I'm fine. So I start walking. Do you know, after I took about 4 more steps, I fell again. I haven't fallen
No.
that many times like in years. I fell twice in one day, like literally. And my phone
Oh,
cracked up so bad that I had to
no.
get a new phone because of Beyonce. I danced so much, my
Oh
legs were like,
my. Yeah,
yeah.
they gave out. They're like, okay, we are Jello now. Bye.
My legs were like, I don't know what you're trying to do, but I'm trying to go.
Oh
It's
God,
time for
that's
us to
horrible.
rest. So I have an
Classic.
admiration for you as a dancer, as an artist, as a singer, all of that. I think it's amazing. You have a lot of gifts to give. I love your energy. It's good energy. And I
Thank
just,
you. You too.
I'm really happy for you. And I'm glad that you were able to find your voice, pull it out and find it.
Yeah. Thank
You
you so
know?
much. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's like you really have to look in that mirror of truth and just kind of go like, who am I? And, what do I really want? I think my parents were always so good about asking us to dream big and then like just encouraging us. And I think this whole thing, I mean, it started by my mom asking me to write down my dreams when I was like 7 years old. And she didn't call them goals. It wasn't something that you were going to win or something. It was like, what are your dreams? And write them down on paper, and I'm going to save them forever. And, we're going to look back someday and you're going to be like so proud of yourself. And, I wrote down 3 things. I wrote down I wanted to be a ballerina, I wanted to be a singer, and I wanted to be an actress. And those were like, I mean, I'm not very different than most girls. I feel like my age, we're all like, yeah, I'm going to be Spice Girl, and I'm going to be, like in a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, and my life will be complete. And then, it was like, it was definitely, not a out of the blue thing. It's like all the girls my age wanted to do that. But I'm so proud of myself for dreaming and then like making it happen, because it takes so much work to make your dreams happen. But if you don't really let the hard work get in the way of your big dreams, then it doesn't feel like work. And so anyway, I want to like share that with people, because I think dreaming big is no small feat. It's a big deal. And it takes time. Like as you get older, you have to dream even bigger, and you have to constantly ask yourself, am I dreaming big enough? And I think as a kid, it's broad strokes, but as you get older, it can become more clarified and defined. And like Empress is my adult version of my 7-year-old self, like dreaming big and wanting more. And what does that mean? And how does that look? And, you ask a lot more questions as an adult, by the way.
Wow. So I love that your mother did that for you, or asked
Yeah.
that question, because so your creativeness that you have, where would you say that you got that from your
I
mom,
would
your
say that
parents?
there is someone upstairs who had this all written out and all planned out, and I just fell onto this path. It's like, when you're just guided, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't really even, sometimes that you're going to get there and you just don't know how. I mean, I grew up in a really small mountain town. There's no ballet up there at all. There's no singers really that like, they come into town and perform, but they don't stay. They're not from there and they don't stay. So it's interesting that for me at 7 years old, I knew that I wanted to be a ballerina, because
Mm.
no one in my family is a dancer, and no one's ever been a singer. I mean, it's just on Broadway, it's like they call us actors and stuff. And that was so cool for me, because I was like, wow, I'm officially, like, my title is an actress. And that was like very special for me, because it was another thing I could kind of check off the list of things to do before I die, but there's always going to be more. By the way, I think having a
Yes.
purpose is so important for your happiness, and
Mm-hmm.
and waking up every day with something to do that's going to better the world. I think that's what makes people feel really fulfilled. So that's what I kind of aim to do. And I'm always trying to create, because that's what we're all supposed to be doing anyways, is create a beautiful world for each other, not being selfish, but being empowered and, taking ownership over your own life so that other people don't have to always take care of you, so you could take care of other people. That's
Absolutely. I love it.
right.
So you knew it was divine. You knew early
Yeah.
on. What would you say
Yeah.
to the adult listening to the show today that had a dream, that has a dream, but they're afraid, like, because they feel like they allowed so many years to go by, or,
Yeah. I would say, okay, well, I would say, first of all, don't be afraid, like lean in. Like these are the things that we're afraid of, but we realize that it's not really as scary all the time once you're in the room. For me, like if I thought about being on stage with some of the best dancers in the world when I was 7, that would have freaked me out, and that probably would have put the brakes on my whole dream. But for me, it was like just kind of being more like broad stroked, like I'm going to be a dancer or ballerina. It's like I wasn't so specific. It actually makes it a little bit less scary, because if you get really specific and you're like, I want to be a ballerina, I want to have all the blisters on my pinky toe. You know what I mean? You're never going to do it if you kind of think about all of those little things. So kind of like going back to your childlike self, where you kind of make these broad strokes on your dreams. And then when you get to that mountain, you climb it. You don't focus on the mountain right away. I think that that's really, it's powerful, and it's so simple at the same time, like not getting in your own way.
That's good
Yeah.
stuff. What advice would you give someone who wanted to reinvent themselves? Would you say that that's what you kind of went through a little bit? I mean, like,
Yeah. Oh, I mean, becoming Empress is like a total reinvention. It's like from being a ballerina to being an actress on Broadway. It's like those are both inventing yourself, but turning into Empress is the most ridiculously gigantic transformation that I've ever made.
I think it's
It's like
awesome
a big
transformation.
tiara to fill right there. And so what advice I would give to people who want to transition is to, and as an adult, I think, versus a kid, I think, because the child is always going to be transforming, but as an adult, and it's almost like, and I don't want to say this in a bad way because they do have control over this, but a lot of your transformation as a kid evolves very naturally. You're like, your teeth are falling out, you're like growing inches, like you forget how to walk because you have a growth spurt. It's like these things that are very hard to, navigate through. It's like the transition happens very naturally. But when you're kind of when you're like, you're an adult, this is how you look, this is like who you are, this is your personality that you've developed through all these experiences that you've had. How do you transform yourself into something that you see your dream version of yourself? And I think is to dream really big and to kind of like really define what that is. And like I said earlier, adults have a lot more questions. What does that actually look like? What does that mean? If it means that you want to lose weight, then figure out a plan of attack, and then like imagine yourself already being there and appreciating your body for every like ounce of effort that you do, like just being so grateful for everything that, being grateful and imagine, like kind of staying in that dream world. Like don't look at the reality of because that can get really depressing sometimes.
Girl, you are talking my language. You're talking my language.
I think we've all been there, and if you say you haven't, then I'm sorry, I'm going to call you out. But
right?
like we've all been there before, just kind of staying in that dream state of like what you want, focus on what you want constantly, because I think that manifests things so much faster than focusing on the reality kind of. But knowing kind of more of like a definitive answer of what you really do want is super important, I think, in becoming the best self, becoming your best self and transforming into that version of yourself. Dreaming big, focusing on the dreams, that's I think the best answer I can come up
Yeah,
with.
it's good. It is true, like to imagine or picture yourself like already doing it. I want to ask, as a songwriter, when you're writing a song, are you writing like, how does that
This
happen?
is Yeah, that's a great question. No, and I totally read your mind. I was like, yes, it's the weirdest thing. Sometimes it actually feels out of body. You know, there were times where I felt like I was just a vessel in that song. I was like, okay, something definitely wrote that song, and I don't know if I was really a part of it. um, you just kind of feel like you're guided towards something. Or like with We Own This Crown, I have a songwriting partner that I work with sometimes in New York, and her name's Alex Forbes, and she and I sit down and we like talk about whatever we're feeling that day, and then we kind of, I mean, there's so many different formulas of like how to write a song, but they kind of just flow. I'm not going to lie. It's like sometimes the melody comes first. Sometimes the lyrics come first. Sometimes you come up with an idea and then everything just sort of falls into place. It's like the storyline, everything. And then there's like structural ways to write songs where you could actually literally do it like by the books and just be like, all right, we're going to do the verse, the chorus, the verse, the chorus, the bridge, the chorus, and like that is, stereotypical song, and you can just kind of do that. But those songs never mean anything unless you have like a story that you're telling that's personal, that you relate to. Because if you don't relate to it, I'm sorry, there's something. I've been in showbiz for so long. There is something about an unauthentic artist. You read right through that, whether you know about the art form or not. My mom was never a dancer, but you could always tell who was really enjoying themselves on stage. And my mom could call them out. She'd be like, that girl loves to dance. You know what I mean? Like, you just know, even though she was never a dancer, she knows when you just know.
Yeah, you do.
The
I can
beauty of it.
totally relate to that. I can relate because
Yeah.
yeah, you can tell who in any whatever they do, you can
Yes, when
tell
they're
who enjoy it.
authentic. Yeah.
Yes, you can definitely tell for sure.
Yeah, and
So,
that's like our subconscious nature, we're good at reading into energy, whether we think we are or not. You just know when somebody walks into a room, you feel them, and it might not even be like a conscious thing. It just we're united that way. That's for sure. All
absolutely.
humans.
I agree. Wow. Do you have like an entire album, or what do they call it nowadays? Or is it
An album. Yeah, you're totally right about that. It's an album, and I have been working on an album. It's so interesting for me because the evolution of writing an album is like you kind of like take a snapshot of your life the way it is in the time that you're writing it, and then it's like a bubble. It lives forever. You can like jump into this bubble and kind of revisit memories and things, and then you can jump out of it and get back to your future self or your present self, I guess. But I think so. I've been working on an album. I think we've recorded like 25 songs so far, but I've only released 3, and I've written probably 200 songs. And
wow.
we're just sorting through them to see which ones fit together. And not every song that you write is going to go on the album, which I didn't really understand that until I started working with my producer in LA, Bart. He is so sweet because he works with like the biggest superstars of pop music today. Like his Grammy nominations speak a lot about him. It's like Beyonce and Justin Bieber. So I mean, so there he works in that kind of echelon of incredible talent. And hearing kind of like the behind the scenes of making of these albums that we all know about, these artists write and record like sometimes hundreds of songs before they pick the
Wow.
18 songs that go on their album. So it's never like, okay, I wrote 18 songs and that's it. That's all you got to do. It's like, it's a whole process. And so we've just been playing around with different, kind of combination platters of songs and which ones go together and tell a single story and kind of encapsulate like the entire, process or the time that we're living in now or something. So, or the story I
Yes.
want to share.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still working on it, and I have
Yeah.
an EP that I'm going to be releasing probably in the next couple months. It's been weird because honestly, I was ready to drop a couple things like a single and a music video, and then the pandemic happened, and it was like everyone just sort of I just felt like it
Froze.
would have,
Everything
yeah, it felt
froze.
like everything froze and changed very quickly, and now it doesn't really feel like the right time for that single anymore because everything's
Mhm.
changed in the matter of 2 months. It's just like a totally different planet. So I think, yeah, things shift and they all happen for the right reason, whether you can see the reason or not. Like sometimes you need a little bit of perspective, which means time to kind of like see a little bit clearer. And I believe in there's someone upstairs definitely orchestrating this whole thing that has the good in mind and gonna make this world a better place, whether we see it right now or not. And
Mhm.
you
Do
know,
you
if
think that with COVID-19, like in what ways has it changed your life?
Yeah,
Are
well,
you
I feel like for me it's kind of slowed everything down in such a beautiful way. My husband and I have never spent this much time together, and we have grown so much closer because of it. And I think just kind of slowing everything down was so wonderful. It's like I started doing things that I knew were going to be really time consuming. Like I started orchestrating a symphony I wrote like 8 years ago. Who has time for that ever? And it's like, and I didn't even really have a purpose for it. It was like, you know what? I know this
wow.
is going to take like at least a month or two. And now I think I have it. So I'm just going to do that. And so learn how to orchestrate a symphony. I would have never done that if this pandemic didn't happen, if I didn't know I needed to just stay indoors to like protect everybody on the planet. It's like, it's
Mhm.
been it's been an interesting time, but what was happened for my husband and I, at least, is that we've grown really close together, and I feel like we're healthier as a we're actually just eating healthier like than ever because I'm
Yes.
cooking at home all the time, and we're not eating out very often, if at all, and it's just kind of nice to kind of be together. I don't know, for me
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah. I've heard a lot of people express that looking at the good side of the COVID-19 situation and that it has been, in a lot of ways bringing families closer together and
Yeah,
allowing people to get out of like the busy where they have no time. And self-care seems to be big, like they're
yeah,
picked in more for people and stuff like
yeah.
that.
Totally. All those like home workouts and just, yeah, it's a really interesting time. A lot of things have changed. And what's kind of unique for the performing arts, at least, is a lot of the older performing arts, like the classical performing arts of like the ballet, the opera, the symphony, they were, and even the Broadway world, it's like this wheel that was never going to stop spinning, and they had no motivation to change at all, and they were kind of stuck in this like, I mean, it was stuck in this old world of like no nothing online, not sharing things in social media. It was an interesting time. And then
Yes.
immediately this changed everything. It was like it went from, I would say, the 19th century to all of a sudden it's like now we're in the 21st century, like tenfold. It's like that
Yeah.
just, and it changed overnight. No one can take the credit. No one can take the blame. It just happened, and it happened so quickly. And I don't think that in any other situation would have changed this quickly at all. Like there's no reason for it to have happened this way. And I think that's a great thing for the performing arts. I think they needed to kind of join us in the 21st century.
I think so too. Do you think I'm that type of person that would actually pay for a ticket right in my living room?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And especially now, it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, I kind of think when we feel safe sending our grandparents to a theater with 3,500 people, that COVID will not be an issue. I think that, that's like, in my mind anyways, like my husband's father's turning 86 this week. When we feel safe, like letting him go to a baseball game or going to see a show, then it'll like times will be good, right? But I don't think that's
Right.
going to happen for a while. And so until then, what do you do for the like people still need to entertain and be entertained. And so I think you're right. Seeing something at home is going to be very valuable, and being safe, just staying safe and healthy.
Wow, after
Um,
talking to you, I'm gonna have to go dig and see if I can find something that I could order.
right. Totally.
It's like, we're gonna watch such and such now,
Yeah. Well, I
Uh,
mean, and I find too that like it's more satisfying to watch something like there's going to be more and more platforms that come out, I think, that will be like in the virtual world that are going to be like really cool spaces to, consume entertainment. And that's my prediction, but who
I think
knows?
you're onto something.
Yeah.
Think you're onto something big. I
Yeah,
s-
baby.
yeah, I seen that they're offering online cooking classes, and I was like, this is amazing.
Totally, because then you're really
Hey.
like actually using the stuff that you would normally use instead of at like a cooking class where like, oh, okay, I do not have this pan or this pot or this cooking utensil, and there's no reason for me to get it unless I'm making this dish again,
Exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah, that is very
Wow.
cool. Love
If
that.
people if people wanted to find you, where can they find Empress?
Yeah, so check out my website. That kind of like has everything on it. It's
Okay.
www.empress-music.com. Super simple. And then my Instagram is my favorite way to kind of like share news and things. And that's Empress at, let's see, it's at empress.music. I am like on the struggle bus right now. And then you can find my music everywhere. It's Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, SoundCloud, all the things. I am everywhere.
All
Yeah.
right,
And
so
that's
that's
my Facebook as well, empress.music. And then Twitter was the only one that doesn't do dots. So, of course, Empress_music is what I ended up having to use for Twitter. But Instagram's my favorite because I love visual things. I'm that magazine reader who looks at pictures. So,
Mhm.
Instagram is.
So we have 3 songs right now that we can go out here and find and we can listen to. We Own This Crown, and then what are the other 2?
So, the other two, Lovely I Am, and the other one is All in My Head, which is a fun one as well. But yeah, I love all the singles that I came up with. Lovely I Am is really just like inner beauty, and then All in My Head is like my husband and I being bi-coastal for 2 years, and me just like wanting to always be next to him, which I'm now doing every day, which is awesome. So I
Oh,
got what
you
I asked
guys.
for.
You guys with all those long distance relationships, there you go.
Ooh, I
You have
know, right?
you now have your anthem. Send it to your guy.
Yes, the anthem. Oh my God, I love it. Yes, that is your anthem. And then for all those ladies out there who need to feel empowered, just turn on the We Own This Crown. That is your anthem.
There you
Whew,
go. There you go.
girl,
You're
love it.
2020. You're 2020 going into
Yes.
2021.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you always have to have one that touches you every like. I think you're
Yep.
right. The whole season. Well, no, the whole year, because when I
Yeah.
find one, I'm like, heck yeah, we're already in
And
next year.
then it brings
Like,
you back. It's the coolest way for like time travel ever, because like if you hear a song from your childhood, it immediately reminds you of a memory from whenever you heard it first, or with your girlfriends or whatever it was. It teleports you right back to that time, and I think that's the coolest form of time travel that we've come up with so far. And you gotta love music for that. Just transports you.
absolutely. I want to share this with you. When
Yes,
you
please.
when you're dancing and moving around, I believe that like energy is transferable and you get to move energy. So like if you're not feeling good, you're moving it around. And when you sing,
Mm,
it's like you're able to raise your vibration because there's
yes.
something with all of that I
Ah,
believe is
yeah,
very therapeutic. It
I
is
totally agree with you.
yeah.
It's like everything's a frequency, and if you're, I think also too the reason why I chose certain songs is because I wanted that to be part of my whole Empress thing, is like I wanted to raise people's vibrations. I wanted to make them feel empowered and strong and excited and happy and beautiful and, just all of those things. So yeah, you're totally right about that. I think there's a deeper thing that we're, science is starting to uncover, but we've always felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's a real
I love
thing.
that.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, a real thing. We love it.
Yes. Wow. Was there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to cover?
Honestly, I think we talked about so many
I
wonderful, glorious
know.
things, and I think that we'll just do it again sometime. This will be like,
I know.
I love chatting with you. You're fabulous.
You were very easy to talk to. And
Thank you.
you definitely got to come back now. Oh, I really do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You too.
And I'm sending you tons of positive energy and tons of success and joy and all of that stuff. You're going to do fine. Because, girl, you can really sing. You got a good voice. You're not like,
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if you really, really know that all the way deep down to the core of your core, but you do. You have.
Hey, it's still a surprise. Every time I sing, I'm like, whoa, was that? Yeah, I got to own it. I love it. Thank you.
Own it. Walk in those shoes and just be like, when we get off, say yes. I am an Empress, or is it?
Yes, I am Empress. I am Empress. Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
love it.
Yes, own it.
I think we all should do that. Let's leave it like this. Everyone is their own Empress or Emperor over their own life, and if we all own it, and we all put on that like oxygen mask, first, then we can take care of each other. More. If we're all taking care of ourselves, and then we can take care of each other. And I think that that's important. But we are all the empresses and emperors over our own life.
Absolutely. Yes. I receive it. I'm going to receive it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm giving. I love it.
Yeah.
To do that for everybody.
For sure. Absolutely. Wow, you guys, what an amazing talk I had with Empress. And if you didn't know, well, now you know. Empress, thank you so much for coming on Authentic Talks and sharing your story. I really enjoyed having that conversation with you. You guys, be safe and be sure to tune in next week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you don't have to miss a show. I'm Shanta with Authentic Talks.
I may not seem pretty to you, but lovely I am. I may not seem warm or fuzzy on the outside, but inside I am. I try to obey your rules, don't think that I can. The lies you told came true. You created the monster that I am. Don't you see? You can't defeat me. Yet we keep playing a game where I'm set up to lose and you're set up to win. So I'll smile and I'll dance to the music. I can dance all over it. Fill the stage with my presence, lit with luminescence. And when you're smiling and dance to the music, you can dance all over it. The ocean's part, now the game's begin. Now we all dive in, dripping with diamonds and a hint of sin hanging from the chandelier. Energy vampires waiting to feast on fears.